I've sent you the invite, Rahul.
Hi,
Hello.
Mr. Bose, are you talking about your sunglasses? Your collection of them?
Someone was.
Haven't seen Rahul for 40 days. Hi, Doc.
There's, I wish brand ambassador Oakley, my friend Rohan. These cost a lot of money. All my earnings go into these things.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wish Oakley would sponsor these things for me.
They used to.
Never, never. I wish.
Yeah, so you're doing a good job with
So,
these
so
live sessions, huh?
definitely, my friend Navneet Kalra has a lot going than Oakley because he gives me decent discounts for them from Dayal Opticians. So I should definitely
Ah,
take his name. I'm a
I think
good
I think we
customer.
all have done that, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have gone to their opticals and sort of utilized that service at
Abs-
some point in time.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely one of the top customers in there for Oakley for sure because Manish called me from Dayal the moment the new ones are released and he said, "Sir, ek piece aaya hai." I said, "Rag do, main aa raha hu abhi."
Just so you know, the first few times I've actually used your name to get a discount there.
Oh, really? Yeah, so that's an open thing, guys. If you ever go to the Dayal Optician in Khan Market, just drop my name. You'll definitely get a hefty discount. That's a good thing. That's
Yeah,
a good
we
one.
have done that for sure.
Navneet's a good guy. He helps out
Yeah,
all my friends. So anybody takes my name, he definitely looks after them. Uh,
yeah.
so Rahul, more about you. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you
All
too. It's been since November. I think November is when we were in Bangkok.
yeah, somewhere there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Thailand
I think
was
October or
October,
November.
November. Yeah, that's right.
October, yeah.
Haven't seen you
Yeah,
for a while. But you've
yeah.
been
We just
busy.
about
You've
20
been
minutes
busy.
apart.
Yeah, you've been pretty busy and keeping yourself busy.
Well, I
So
try to.
so all the guys here should also know what's keeping you busy, which is why we are here today, and what got you here. Because you've always you've set yourself up pretty good, and you've done something for the community, which is very interesting. Because fortunately for you, what's happened is the world economy isn't looking too great, nor is the Indian economy looking very great. But we want the best clubs in the world, and we know where to go now because you've got them refurbished, pre-owned, in top shape, and we'll all be running to you. Actually, I hope you know in the last recession, the best company which did well was the Dollar Store, which was
Yeah,
a discount store in America, and the discount stores actually did very good. So Dollar Store actually, well, I think, made a 60% improvement during recession,
really?
yeah, yeah, it did. So
Yeah.
I think you're in business, my man. You're in business. You're not, but you're definitely going to make some money out of this.
Well, you're also in
But
business because teaching doesn't go out of fashion.
yeah, but they need to be at a closer distance than the 6 feet we're talking about here. So that's not going to happen for a while. Community programs, I don't think teaching is going to start very soon. I doubt that, people will be willing to send. I won't send my daughter anywhere for a while now. She's young. I'm not sending
Yeah.
her that easy. So it's going to be that little scare that we all will go through.
I
And
think
it
the
doesn't look
tournaments will be
like,
a problem.
see,
People won't want to
yeah,
travel to play tournaments anymore. At least not for the next 6 months, as I can see.
yeah, it's going to be tough out there. It's not going to be easy. I mean,
Yeah, I think golf tourism is going to suffer hell of a lot.
anything to do with community participation is going to be a trouble area.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah,
just asked Ankush, I think, what do you
yeah.
think? When do you think golf courses will open? Tough
Mm,
call. Yeah. See, as I was talking to Brandon the other day, also they've taken out a paper, with COVID, and requesting golf clubs to be opened with certain restrictions and guidelines. But it's a great paper. It's a great document. But again, this has
right,
to be approved at the district level, is what
right.
I've been made to understand. And the district level, we understand state level, we understand national level. But when you say district level and then you mention golf, it doesn't really ring a bell because I don't think there's a connect between the two. You
I
understand?
mean,
So
don't get me wrong. I'm all for golf, but I think the golf might be just a very, very small fragment of what the society as a whole is going through right now, right? So I'm not sure if the governments will really open their books and be like, let's just open the golf courses because
no,
these
no,
guys are
no.
really suffering. I think we have bigger problems at hand. So whoever has these positive thoughts right now, great. But I don't think we're really heading that way as of now.
Right. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one
Yeah.
for everybody here.
I mean, for all
So,
of us to even think that, that let the golf courses open because we can easily maintain social distancing, I don't think that we are really looking at it very, very correctly, this whole situation at hand.
nor are we
We,
very equipped to do it either, Rahul. If you take my word
yeah,
for it, I don't think these things can happen just like that in
right,
India, especially. I was
right,
talking to Anika the other day, and she said, sir, it's opened in America. And the
right.
thing is, they said, one person per cart, only one family per cart kind of deal going on. But she said there's so many people in America playing golf, it's not funny. So I'm like, Anika, just stay away from these places just for the time being. It's not
No,
a
but
good thing to be. Yeah.
I've only been to America once, and that was thanks to Gurbaz Maan. Um, what I noticed over there, which is something that doesn't happen in India, is that even when you're in the back of beyond of the country, you still have a golf course somewhere within, like, let's say, a 20-minute drive of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that doesn't happen in India, right? It's not that big a sport. So for us to be really thinking that golf courses will open because social distancing, I mean, we can't compare ourselves to, let's say, the United States or Scotland for that matter. They are completely two different paradigms to the country that we live in. Our sport is not that big as of now, and hopefully it will get there. So maybe 25 years down the line, it might be in that position. But as of now, you and I very well know that we are far away from that day.
Yeah, and Doc agrees over there. He says that's why that we have those crazy numbers also in the US,
Right.
because I don't know what it is, but definitely not here for the time being. So let's get back to you, Rahul, and
Yeah.
let's take a ride with you on your journey and how it started. Let's speak a little bit about how you got into golf, and you obviously started at the Noida Golf Club. Or that's what I presume that you did,
So
or maybe
actually,
it was
I didn't
different.
actually. I
Okay,
didn't. I actually started at Fort William in Calcutta. Uh,
nice.
my dad was in the army, and my dad used to be an avid golfer. He used to go every afternoon sharp at 2 o'clock to play around golf 6 days a week. And some days I used to just walk around with him. I wasn't allowed to touch anything in his golf bag, which was more than a 9 iron, and I used to pull his trolley at times. So that was the only thing that I knew, and I found it a damn boring sport, to be very honest. It's only when I started playing golf a couple of years later. I did start playing golf in Calcutta, but when I actually started playing golf full time was in Noida. And that's
Uh-huh.
when I actually started finding it interesting. I didn't find it interesting before. That was a damn boring old man sport, is what I thought about it. It's when you start playing, I think, that you start thinking that, golf is going to be it's such a fun sport, and, you have to think and all of that. But it doesn't happen early on, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Then thereafter, I started taking golf a little more seriously than I did in the past, and so on and so forth. The story went. I think it was the time when we had to decide between college and playing golf is when this really became full time. Until then, it was very, dicey. Should we? Should we not? Should I just go to college and, leave golf altogether? Which I wasn't really wanting to do. I wasn't wanting to leave golf altogether. So, it sort of kept on going in that fashion. And then I was like, let's just go and play tournaments. And you were one of my first few coaches when I came to you at the JTP in Delhi Golf
That's
Club.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Your sister.
And
I remember your sister used to get you and drop you in the morning, then pick you
yeah,
up
yeah,
later in the day. She used to make
yeah,
a big effort because those were the new days of DND. DND had just opened, I think.
definitely.
And
Definitely.
yeah, yeah, I
She used to
remember
come and
that.
drop me at the club. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she
And
used to drop.
I remember one day that I was going back, I used to have a ping answer putter, those copper heads, the brass
Yeah, yeah,
heads.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I used to have one of those. And while I was going back from practice, I was like, no, I'm going to leave my bag here, but I'll take my putter back with me so I can
Hmm.
practice my stroke in my room.
Hmm.
So I went up in the auto back
Yeah,
to
you
my
used to
house
come
in Noida,
in the auto.
and I
Yeah.
slept off in the auto. By the time I got
Oh,
off the auto, I left the putter in there. That
oh
back thing that there
God.
is there.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
left my ping answer, old model, in that auto.
Beryllium
Yeah,
copper. Yeah.
yeah, beryllium copper. I remember the first thing you told me. One of the first things that you corrected in my golf swing was, you're like, what are you trying to milk that golf swing or that ball over there? Because I used to dip a lot and used to hit these big hooks. So that was the first thing you told me.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
it does go back a long way. And
super.
yeah, then things just took another turn. I started playing golf full time. Started playing for the country. Then decided to turn pro. And here I am now. Now I teach golf and I run this company called Golf Garage, which sort of has been a passion project, and I love doing it. I love it when, especially when we can provide products which are good but affordable. There are times when we are not able to do it as well, but most of the times we are, and I think that's the endeavor here,
You know,
mainly, especially with
yeah.
Golf Garage.
So Rahul, like you said, you were a kid when you started out golf. It became a passion. It became a dream to become a pro golfer. You
Right,
decided, should I study? Should I play golf? You did. You went through all that. You went through hard work. You should practice day and night. I remember you being a very,
right,
very hard worker. Because you really wanted to get there. Then,
yeah,
then you went. You were part of the national team. You even got the silver medal, I think, at the
yeah,
Doha
yeah.
Asian Games,
No,
right?
this was Guangzhou,
Right.
China.
Oh, Guangzhou was it? Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. So Guangzhou, China. So tell us a bit about that, because we will come back to the stuff that you're paying back with, and trying to improve things and systems the way
Right,
you thought was best. But give us a
right.
little bit about that trip into the Asian Games and how you prepared
So,
for that and how that happened.
so that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. I got in there because I was a part of the Indian golf team, and it was, I can just tell you one thing, and the images that I have from the Asian Games are two of them, which stick out very vividly in my memory. The first one is, holding that last putt on the last hole.
Hmm.
I still remember that very, very vividly. I'd hit the ball on the wrong side of the hole. The hole was on the second tier of the green,
Right.
okay, and it was cut down on the right side. And I'd hit my approach shot to the top left of the green. So we had a huge swale in the middle, and they're not swales like India. This is like a huge swale, and the green's running at like 12 at that time.
Wow.
Okay. So this was probably what, maybe a 80 footer or something.
Hmm.
Uh, and I had a putt coming back into to make par, which was about 7 or 8 feet downhill left right. You know those putts, right? Downhill
Oh
left
yeah.
right. Oh my God, how I would have been shaking on that putt is something only I remember right now. It gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. And
Yeah.
luckily, I
The
made that
knees go
putt.
the knees go weak. I understand that
Yeah,
feeling of how the knees kind of shake. Yeah.
yeah. So luckily, that putt went in. And the other thing that I remember from then is, that when we stood on the podium, that feeling was second to none, because just after I got off the podium, I got calls from relatives of mine, which I didn't even, they were never in touch with me, right? And I got calls from them because I guess they must have seen it on television or something. And they called up my mother and my father to congratulate them, and they took my number from them, my China number, right? And that was so special because, you don't realize the magnitude of what has happened until you
Right.
hear from people that you don't remember,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And I think that was just completely something else. Yeah, we were received very well when we came back to India. We were received very well at the Delhi Golf Club, at the Delhi airport, and of course the Delhi Golf Club later on. But these two memories really stick out very strongly in my head when I think back about the Asian Games. And funnily, I even though I played a good last round at the Asian Games, I actually started having tough times with my game a few months before that,
Hmm.
right? And actually, I went on to have tough times with my game till about the end of 2011, right?
Right.
Just a second. Yeah. So till the end of 2011. Luckily, I had two good rounds over there, so I was able to contribute to my team.
Hmm.
But uh, so then I went through this period of about a year and a half or so where I was struggling and I was trying to catch up with myself. I went knocking on a couple of doors, trying to figure out what was going on. And the most difficult part of that time was for me, and I don't know if you remember, but I used to take my ball striking very seriously. Like I used to love smashing the golf ball.
Yeah.
Okay. And for that 1 year or so, I would stand on the ball, and it would be more like I wasn't sure if the ball's going to start right of the flag or left of the flag. You
It's a
know,
terrible feeling, I know.
and that sort of sent me, going deeper into what was actually going on. Can you hear me? Because I can't really hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
hear you. Can you hear me now?
you can.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Everything all right with me coming across?
Okay, I think your voice is very very faint. Yeah, so that that time was kind of off, and that sent me into completely another space. And I became an ardent. Uh, I went to a couple of coaches, but thereafter I actually started searching for my own answers because I was like, you know what I used to do used to work. I'm going to try and build back what I used to
Right,
do,
right,
right? So whatever to my knowledge or to my feeling, let's say, because golfers don't really know what's going on in their swing. It's the feelings they
right,
try to replicate, right? So
right,
I started trying to replicate those feelings to sort of get myself back up on my feet where I would know where this ball would begin again. Because I knew that when I would be on the golf course for me to score, I had to know where the ball was going to begin and where it was going to end,
right,
right?
right.
Even if I didn't know where it was going to end, at least I needed to know where it was going to start, right?
Something.
And that was so important. And then began a whole new journey. And I turned pro in 2012, and I had a few decent tournaments. I had a few tournaments which weren't so good, but overall, I would say that I had a very mediocre run at pro. You know, to sum it up in a very very candid fashion, I would say I had a very mediocre run at pro golf. I didn't end up running it up to where I would have liked to run it up to. Maybe in a couple of years, who knows? I might go back and play a few tournaments, and hopefully, I would have a little more, uh, you know, let's say a little more under par in me than I did have, because I felt that I wasn't shooting the kind of underpars that were required to be shot to win
Right.
tournaments, right?
What?
And that was the reason, then we started moving into other things, and here we are now with two new things that I do, and maybe a couple of other things which I keep putting out there. Maybe we'll do those also.
I
Yeah.
remember you did hit a purple patch and you did hit some great rounds in the middle, in somewhere in your career that there was a lot of Rahul Bajaj up there on the leaderboard for a little while.
Yeah.
There was a time and after that suddenly you kind of gave that up again. So I don't know what happened there. You came back and you kind of hit that purple patch and then suddenly again you disappeared. So what
I'll
happened
be
over
very,
there?
very candid about this.
Hmm.
Interestingly, I spoke to a friend of mine yesterday for about 2 hours. We were discussing golf on the mobile phone yesterday. And interestingly, I'll tell you that we were talking about the same thing, really. And I would say that the difference between the amateur golfer Rahul and the
Hmm.
pro golfer Rahul was really innately what kind of a golfer he turned out becoming when he turned pro. Okay. Uh, Innate nature of playing golf straight from the heart. Okay. Hitting stupid shots from the rough. Okay. You have to understand that Sevi is like God to me. Okay.
Right,
So
right,
I would hit stupid shots from the rough. I used to find corners to hook it and fade it from. And yardages didn't matter to me. And then we came down to a point where it became about pro golf, and every shot started to count. And suddenly, I didn't have that. That bent of mine started going away. Every shot was being counted, right?
right.
First, it sort of changed my mental thought process a little bit. Which, to be very honest with you, it's the last few months that I've really been thinking about these things a lot more, and I have actually come to the point where it's become a lot more clearer that what
Right.
actually happened. And I think I still love competing. That's something that comes deep from my heart. I
Right.
want to compete, but maybe on at some point of time or the other, maybe we'll go ahead and go back and do it again.
Right.
But I think we'll have
Absolutely.
to start all over again and do it afresh. You
Now
know,
that you know better a lot of things,
yeah,
you've been teaching for a while. So how's that been? Because you're kind of giving back, you're learning, and I see that you're upgrading, you're traveling the world to get more knowledge, which is a great sign. And I love that when one coach does that, because I've done it all my life, and I think that's the best way to get knowledge. Just by
right,
reading about stuff will not have actually help anybody. unless they actually go visit academies or teachers and one-on-one conversations. I think that's the best thing. And you're doing a lot of that recently. And how's
Yeah,
that helped you? And
I've
how's
actually
that
been
gone?
studying a lot also. The last 1.5 months that
Of
we've been at home, I've been studying a lot on the golf swing. And in fact, uh, that's been going very well, actually. I like teaching. I didn't think I would like it, to be very honest. I didn't think it was my beat, but I've started enjoying it quite a bit. And I still remain a little bit from the bent of mind, which comes a little bit from the player side. To try to connect the dots. If you're looking at
hmm
the golf swing, I still want to look at it from the ball side. I don't want to only look at the mechanics of it. So
Right.
that's one thing that I'm trying to retain in myself. And the other thing is, I really want to cusp the two things of, what the personality and the experiences of a person are, the way they
Right.
think to the way
Right.
they golf, right?
Correct.
I think it's a very, very important thing. Like I've just mentioned to you, it's happened in my life as well, right?
Right.
And I want to continue doing that even for, the kids I teach, the guys I'm trying to help to get better. I think that there is a great correlation between the two things. The way you golf will have a great correlation with the way you think as a personality,
Right. Right.
right?
No, that's
So
interesting.
I think
Yeah.
we should take that a little bit further in that count. And I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You got to fit the system into the player, and for that you'll have to know the player of how he accepts things and how he works things out. And I think that's a very important thing to know as a teacher. So
right.
how you're going to take all that information and maybe put it in the form of a nursery rhyme and tell a 7-year-old kid, or tell it like a story or a novel to a 30-year-old man. I mean, it's all different folks. You need different approaches. And I think what you've done is very good, and I think fantastic. But coming now to something that something which I saw that you've done, and you suddenly thought that I need to make this. There are lots of equipment out there, no doubt, is the best equipment in the world. But then you went on and making the pre-owned equipment available to the masses. And you opened up a company, you have a fantastic website, you have a great service center, you kind of changed the grips, you refurbished the clubs, just didn't give it just like that. You kind of,
Right.
you souped it up kind of thing and revitalized the whole thing and got it back. So what brought you to this business idea? And because it's a great thing, because since you stopped playing pro golf, then obviously you did some teaching, and you obviously needed to make money as well. So you found a way in the pre-owned business, which is the first by anybody that I've known who's done this. And you've been doing this yourself and been very successful at it. So tell us a bit more about it.
So, golf era started before I quit playing pro golf. It started somewhere in one of those off seasons that we guys have, which are like about a 3.5 month off season on the PGTI usually. Yeah, it was somewhere around that time. I think back in 2017 when we started this, um, around April or so, when the off season just about kicks in, right? So what happened was that I was just sitting around and I was like, what should we do? Should we do something new? And this thing just sprung up in my head, and I said, how do we go about this? And a friend of mine suggested, actually, why don't you just start an Instagram page and start with this? I was like, okay, cool, let's try to do this. So actually, this is an actual story, okay? I'm sitting in my room, the room that I'm in right now. We're just having this afternoon conversation over chai and biscuits. And
Right.
I was like, cool. So that very instant, I made an Instagram account by the name of Golf Garage India. Okay. I made some sort of a funky artwork and put it up as the picture, and went down into my own garage, and I had tons of clubs, okay,
Right.
which I stopped using. I had tons of them. So I just went down into my own garage and I was like, oh, what is the stuff that I can, start selling off? So I started clicking those clubs in a very, very shabby fashion, uh, and started putting them up on the Instagram page. Okay. At that time, we are not even a company or nothing. Okay. So we started off like that. And then the next thing I did, I was like, okay, now I've sold everything that I had. Now what do I do? So I called up a couple of my friends, okay? And I still remember my friends like, yeah, man, my basement's full of them. I said, cool, why don't you get them to the club in the evening? You won't believe this. At the club in the evening, on the first hole, we guys would practice, right?
Right.
We would hit drivers over there. So he sent his caddy to his car, his
his caddy comes back with a bunch of clubs, okay, all held together with a rope. He gets them and he dumps them near my golf bag. Okay, so this is how we started coming around with this.
Wow.
And so then I started calling up more and more friends, and then some other people started getting in touch with us. So, I have
Right.
this stuff, I want to sell this. And there are some really big golf fanatics that we have in Delhi itself. And they were like, I have got clubs for the last 1 decade sitting at home. Okay. So I said, cool, I'll come over. So I went over to their place and I picked it up. And one of the greatest, sort of collections that I ever got hold of was this guy. I will not name him. He, uh, he lives about 5 hours away from Delhi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a Scorpio full of clubs. A
Mm.
Scorpio full of clubs.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And 70% of them unused.
Unused.
Unused. 70% of them.
My God. Wow.
Right. So this is how we really started. And then I was like, okay, this is fine. Now what I used to do was I used to clean these clubs up, and this is how it started initially. And then I got my own caddy involved in this.
Right.
Okay. Thereafter, we started, doing some more stuff to the clubs, and we would present them out well. The idea was that whenever you get a club from us,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it should be a usable product,
Correct. Absolutely.
right?
Otherwise, it's not worth it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it should be a usable product. So it should not have any damages.
Right.
Okay, the grip should be in a good condition. If it's not in a good condition, then we will change the grip and put a new one on it.
Got it.
Right? So this is what was the driving force behind it. At the end of the day, no matter what amount of money you spend, right? Even if you spend 1,500 rupees to buy a golf club, at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, that 1,500 is your hard-earned money, and you must get a
Right.
bang for your buck.
Correct.
So I said that if I'm paying 1,500 rupees, I want to feel that this club has a worth of 2,000 rupees,
Sure.
right? And that's
Sure.
the way we started building it on. So
Wow.
thereafter came a time when we actually started changing a little bit, and we were like, my mom's like, listen, man, your room is full of these clubs and all that. What the hell's going on in my house? So then we moved close by to my house to a small shop, and that's where we operate from now. We formed a company. We made a website because I didn't want to work only off Instagram. That is something that I just did not want to do.
Right.
So we formed a company. We made a website. We made it legit. The idea as such really springs up way backward. Uh, One of my first golf sets that I ever bought was a second hand, by the way. Okay. My dad bought me a set of two golf sets actually. He bought me a Maxfly Revolution set of blades, and he bought me a set of Honma blades.
Wow.
Okay. In two separate incidents. He bought these for me. He used to, even though he was like, let's say, sometimes, even if he was in Orissa, right, he would actually get in touch with people in Calcutta, or he would get in touch with people in Delhi Golf Club and find me a second-hand golf set, right?
Right.
And so, that's the way I started playing golf. And a set of Honma second-hand blades also was pristine, to be honest. It was pristine, right? It was by far one of the sets that I love the most, even till date.
Right. Right.
So that's how it started. And then the idea of making it a legit business actually came in because of all the travel that I did to play tournaments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I even played a bit of Asian development tour and all, going into Thailand and Singapore, Malaysia, all these countries. And everywhere I went, even America for that matter, even though I didn't play a tour over there, I went as a member of the IAPGA.
Right.
What I saw was that everywhere you go, there is a second-hand golf club industry, right? India has a second-hand golf club industry. Don't mistake it. There is an
It's
industry, but it's an unorganized
unorganized.
industry,
Unorganized. Yeah.
right? So what I said was, this unorganized industry was pretty much like a normal shop that runs on the street, wherein if you stop in a car, you can pay $100 for something, and if you stop on a cycle, you can pay $20 for the same thing, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
said, let's make this all streamlined. Let's make it all clean. Let us declare what is the quality of the product. Let us declare what is the condition of the product. Let us put the product in a usable condition, you know, and so on and so forth. In fact, in the beginning, we also refurbished some products. I used to check out DIY videos of YouTube, and I started
Right.
painting them in my garage. We did some of that stuff, and we would sell it as a refurbished product, right?
Right. Right.
So
I saw
mostly we
that.
would sell a pre-owned product, right? And sometimes we would do a refurbished product where we would declare that, we have repainted this,
Right.
right,
Of course.
for the aesthetics of the club.
Right.
So there's a huge amount of stuff that went into this over a period of time, and we evolved pretty much constantly. Uh, so the online business as such has its own challenges. It will take its own time to pick up as a sport. It will take its own time to pick up as a concept in India. But I think the future is there. The future is that new people will come in to play the sport. The future is that the middle class will want to pick up pre-owned equipment at an affordable price. Because, come to think about it, Mr. Bose, 44,000 rupees for a driver. Really, I mean, come on, 44,000 rupees. It's a joke, you know.
And how much are
And then
you
we
offering a
talk about
driver?
growing the game.
What about your driver? How much does it sell for? Same driver, if it's pre-owned, how much would you sell that same thing for?
So let's say if an M6
Right. The
came to
M6,
me,
okay. Tailor-made,
yeah,
yeah.
in a
Yeah.
mint condition,
Uh-huh.
right, we would price it anywhere between 14 to 17,000 rupees,
Wow.
right?
That's
Yeah?
huge.
And that's all thanks to TaylorMade, by the way. It's all thanks to TaylorMade. That's only because they come up with, equipment every 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their M6 becomes obsolete as soon as their new model comes out. So it's thanks to them that their pricing keeps going down,
Friend
right?
Sanjay from Germany is saying that he can buy a used car for 44K. You know?
It's a fact, right? Come to
Yeah,
think
true.
about it, you can buy a Maruti 800 if you were to, right? If you didn't have any problems with the ego, then you could have bought a Nano for 30,000 rupees. You would have an air-conditioned car to sit inside,
Mm.
right? So
Right.
we can't grow a sport if we are going to make it inaccessible by its pricing. It's going to be very, very difficult. And the new age people that are coming in to play golf, and as far as I know, are the people who are, the people in the IT sector, the people who have these new startups, people who are coming up in life. They want other recreational facilities for themselves, but they can't
Mm-hmm.
enter the sport if we create barriers of equipment and green fees,
Right. Right.
you know,
So we have to
and
make
these are
golf a little
huge.
bit more accessible, a little bit more affordable for sure, is where you're
Absolutely,
coming
because it's
from.
going to come back to you and me later. Think about it. It's going to affect the entire industry. The clubs that are, still running on the colonial structure will suffer themselves because 50 years down the line, no one will want to be a member of them because they've been shunning everyone,
True.
right? Because at some
Yeah.
point of time, the generations of these families are going to end. At some point of time, that will happen, right? We know that institutions remain, but institutions will also go extinct if institutions aren't friendly with them,
True.
right? So we need to change things now. The second-hand equipment industry, by the way, if you go to places like Singapore, if you go to places like Bangkok, so accessible. You go to a Thania Plaza, and that was the like I was baffled when I went to Thania Plaza. 70% of the companies over there are selling second-hand products. Such amazing golf equipment, Mr. Bose. You've been to Thania Plaza. You've
Of
seen the
course,
kind of
many
equipment that
times.
is
Many
there,
times. Yeah.
right? Have you been to the top floor? There is a shop there
Sure.
called, there's a Japanese store there. Mm, I'm forgetting the name. There's a Japanese store over there. They only keep Japanese second-hand equipment, okay?
Right.
And you can buy a Honma driver there for 15,000 rupees, by the way.
Right.
Last year's model of Honma, 15,000 rupees. That's amazing. They're priced between 8,000 and 7,000 baht,
My God.
right? So it's because these things exist in the world that people are being able to take on the sport. Imagine if a kid comes to you to start playing golf and he's like, I want the best coaching. So I'm ready to pay Mr. Bose the money for his coaching facilities. Cool. Mr. Bose says, go into the store, pick up a rental for 150 bucks. He said, cool, no problem. Comes out. Fine. I started loving the sport. Next thing you know, the guy's salary is like $50,000. Okay, you think this
How
guy can
does
play
he?
golf?
No, he can't afford it
No,
anymore.
he
That's
can't play
right.
golf, right? Fifty
Right.
thousand rupees is not a bad salary, actually,
It's a great salary, yeah.
right? It's not a bad salary in the market that we sit in today. It's not a bad salary at all. So
Right.
when we think about all this, right, we need things like Golf Garage, we need things like the Khargar Valley Golf Club, we need things like these, we need things like the City Fort Golf Range, we need things like the Noida Stadium Golf Range to bring up things. We need to change the paradigm of stuff that is happening over here. Uh, it might not have a direct impact. It might have 2% of an impact or a 1% of an impact, but an impact
Right.
nonetheless,
Right. Right.
right?
And
And I'm sure, and I know that you're associated with the Golf Foundation, right?
no, I know them. I know Amit very well, but I'm not associated in any way. But as a
So I
part
mean,
of the
like the Golf
industry, yeah.
Foundation is one of those things which is going to help someone to be able to come up in golf as a career.
Right.
And
Of course.
I think we all need to structure a lot of new things in order to be able to bring it all back up. Otherwise, I mean, the army, yes, the army has contributed a lot to the sport, but we can't just keep relying on the army. I mean, we all can now start doing things. The world has become like an oyster thanks to the internet, and let's get on with it.
Perfect. I love that attitude. You have that energy coming out of you, which says, this. Forget all the stuff that's been happening. It hasn't been working. Let's try something, and let's try something which works, and let's do something which works, which is fantastic. I think Rahul, you have a point there. Sanjay also agrees that we need to get out of this elitist attitude and move on and get people out there to play much more golf because only then the entire industry can actually benefit. It's not just you and me. Everybody can benefit. If the equipment
Yeah,
and pay and play is affordable, it can pick up 25% of the market because of this, is what Yash Damija is saying. And Yash has been in the retail industry for a while, and he's very well versed with the retail side of things. Uh, all the playing fraternity also wants the same, Yash. And, everybody, like what Rahul is saying, he's trying to make a difference by doing this, by getting in the equipment at a lower price, or making it available at an affordable price, let's put it that way. Not a lower price, but an affordable price. But I guess companies have their restrictions, and as long as the Indian government keeps thinking that the custom duty, like what Brandon said the other day, they have such high customs duty on the product. I mean, they must understand that these products will never be made in India. And for golf to grow as a sport, as an Olympic sport, which it is right now, and to grow the game in India so that we can also represent our best in the Olympics, the government has to do away with this customs duty nonsense because it doesn't really help anybody. What you said is absolutely right because the customs duties is the one main thing that is affecting these products. I mean, what you're selling it at is basically what the pricing of it is abroad. But due to the customs factor, I don't think the companies also can do much about it.
I mean, I'm a long way away from being able to actually create the right kind of pricing, to be very honest. Because if you were to look at the states, and if you were to go and buy a G400 driver, which is a very, everybody wants the G400, even I want the G400. It was available for $300 a couple of months ago.
True.
The G400 is only one model old.
Right.
What stops us? And then we are going to wonder why golf never picked up. And this is why it's not going to pick up. This is just one of the reasons. It's not the reason. It's just one of the reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are many things like these. I mean, I really and this is something that I think about quite often. I think decathlon has made a huge difference.
Of course. Of
You
course.
know,
Massive.
uh,
Massive.
we some people might think that decathlon is not a nice brand, but let me tell you, when a company goes out there and puts up a simulator within their facility and says, "Come try my club out," I'm pretty sure they're onto something. You know, that's
Right.
the amount of belief that they have in their product, and it's great that a layman can go into a decathlon and pick up a golf set for 10 to 15,000 rupees. It's
Right.
the cheapest golf brand out there, and it's okay to start with an NSS. There's nothing wrong with it, right?
Something that Gurbaz is also bringing up. I mean, Decathlon's a great product, and I think it's positioned itself in the right place. Just not for golf, but for every single sport out there. The kind of stuff. I feel like I'm in a toy store when I go to Decathlon, which it is. But I feel like a kid whenever I go in. I go to buy one thing, I can come out with maybe about 10 things, 10 products, because everything is so affordable, everything is so good, and at that price which you get it at, you're like, okay, let me just take this
Yeah,
torch and this. Let me take this cycle, the bell for the cycle. Anything comes
yeah.
out. I mean, it's fantastic stuff that they have to offer, and at the pricing as they do. Gurbaz makes a point as well. He says as long as the grooves and the shafts are intact, the clubs are great to go. Just metal in
Absolutely.
the end. So just metal in the end. So definitely makes sense. In fact, players can spend their budgets on the fitting and ride spec. So when he says that about fitting, I wanted to ask you, does Golf Garage also offer some kind of fitting services? Because someone, Arvind Sirohi, also asked at the beginning of this program that do you offer anything, any fitting services for the
So
player?
to be very honest, right now, I wouldn't call ourselves a fitting center. I would really call myself as a workshop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do for you is we can regrip your clubs, we can reshaft your clubs, we can provide you with new shafts if you want, and we can put them in. Okay. We can, also do the lies and lofts of your clubs. We can do grinding works if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say that I have a repertoire of shafts and you can come and try them out and we have a launch monitor, no, we don't have that yet. We are a long way away from that, and whoever is asking this question, hands down, Gurbaz is the best club fitter in the country. Just go to him, just go to him. There is no doubt about it. We don't. Anyone who calls me up for club fitting, I tell them if you need a change in shafts or if you need a liloft adjustment, we can do that for you. But if you need advice on what you need to put into your club, here are two numbers: Chimmy, Gurbaz. If you're down south, call up KP, but we don't have that sort of knowledge yet. Okay.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so
Fantastic.
I
So that's
always,
what. Hmm.
throw them around to these other directions, wherever these people are calling from. I think it's very
Right.
important. We rather do the right stuff than, just plonk some shaft into someone's club just like that. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's going to be a pain at the end of the day for them also. You know.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that club fitting is important. Maybe in due course of time, we will bring upon, many more things. Maybe I'll get certified as a club fitter as well. But until then, this is what we do. We run as a workshop predominantly, which is our, it's basically, we set it up as an ancillary to Golf Garage because a lot of stuff that we were, putting back into shape to sell and stuff like that, we were getting it done from outside. So then I started learning some of these basic things so that we could actually do it in-house and sell it across because we were actually spending a lot of money in refurbishing these goods to other people,
Right.
right?
In fact,
So we set it up within in-store and we started doing it ourselves. Yeah.
right.
So we
In fact,
also now lend it out to people if they want to come around and do any of these lofts and all that within
super.
them. Yeah.
Great stuff. So that's good. That we look forward to that also happening in time. I know you will completely equip yourself to fit them out also in as time goes by. So going back to the decathlon product, Shiva said that last time I played with Romit, you were using a fantastic Inesis putter. Well done, decathlon. That's because you see, I have a lot of putters. I have putters which I've used and not used, but there's only one putter which remained in my bag since 2006, and that I lost last year to Ridhima, who took it out of my bag and hasn't returned it because she's won, I think, God knows how many tournaments with it. Okay, so, and I don't have the heart to ask her, listen, that putter needs to come back. So I've told her, use it as much, but you have to find yourself a putter. But so there was this other student, a beginner, like you said, and she had it from Decathlon as well, a little kid. And the father wanted me to, size it up for her. So I'd kept it in the back of my car. So we were playing DLF Golf and Country Club. And the greens over there. And trust me, that Decathlon putter, that Inesis putter was the best thing that happened to me that day. Shivas was this thing to it. He was privy to it, but it was great stuff. And he also says Decathlon makes very good waterproof strand bags, which are very cheap as well. So,
Absolutely.
so,
I mean,
so
eight and a
it's
half thousand rupees. They did a clearance, by the way, last year. For 3,500 rupees, they sold stand bags. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and it doesn't need to be a problem. I think it's really good that we can buy a golf bag at 3,500 bucks. It was a great product, by the way. It was a great product.
right.
I'm very much in for especially the accessories of Decathlon. I've never played their club, so I don't know. But I want to tell you and the people who are interested in a Decathlon product. I'm not their salesman, but sometime back I came across a YouTube video which was comparing an Inesis putter to Scotty Cameron, and there wasn't much difference, by the way, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, so you should actually check out that video. There is a video like that. I think it was done by one of those famous YouTube content creators, right? And it is
Right.
interesting how we get, glued on to brand names right? But the first thing to do is to start playing the sport.
But I think the best thing that you've done over here, yeah, there's so many brands. Decathlon is one of them. We'd have someone on our show towards the end of this week also who's also dealing in a lot of these affordable golf clubs, which affordable brands as we call it. There are lots of other brands besides the TaylorMade, the Callaways and the Titleists and the big ones. But there are also smaller brands. So everybody, whoever's pocket can afford whichever is there in the market, and
Yeah,
they can stick to it. It's no big deal. And what you've done to get the bigger products out there, pre-owned TaylorMade, Callaway, or any of these bigger brands at an
yeah,
affordable price is also a great service to these guys. And people should understand that people are like you do exist. So it's great. And if you are actually making sure that the pre-owned club functions the right way and it's playable, as you said, and it's
we
playable and
actually
it's
go
in great
through a
quality.
lot of processes to check a club before we purchase it from
Okay.
the person who's selling it. So we run a bunch of checks on the product,
Mm-hmm.
which ranges from checking the shaft and its
Mm-hmm.
condition. We check if the club has ever been broken or damaged. We have figured out ways to do that. We check the condition of the groove. We check the sole of the club. There are clubs which come with rubber inserts in them. There are clubs which come with weight inserts in them. So we check all that as well, and the grip as well of the club. So we run all these checks before we purchase any product of anyone, so that the end consumer can be happy with it, right?
So you have both services. Basically, you're buying clubs as well as selling clubs, right? So
Yeah,
so so that means someone like me who has about I don't know how many clubs lying around everywhere can come to you with a carload of clubs and say, okay, you can evaluate them and see how much I'm going to get and make some money because in the next few months I'm not teaching much. I'm unemployed.
absolutely,
So I can
absolutely.
actually do that. But your employment is still there because you still be selling them at a great value. So people will
Yeah,
still
the only
keep
thing is
trying to
the
buy
courier
them.
service is not working right now.
No, we're waiting for the lockdown to open. It's only
Yeah,
possible
so
then.
it's a pretty simple process actually. It's a little more complicated than the American websites. Hopefully,
Mm-hmm,
we'll get there as well.
mm-hmm.
We'll create some a system for that. But as of now, the process is pretty much you have to click your clubs. You can send it over WhatsApp or an email to us,
Mm-hmm.
and thereafter we will check it out. We will make an estimation. Once we decide on the pricing, people just courier us the clubs, and once we receive the clubs and run the checks on them, within 24 hours we send the money into their accounts. Right. So
Super.
that's the way we function. We buy a lot of stuff from across the country, even down south from Chennai. We pick it up from corners, even in Assam. So it's pretty simple. It's not difficult at all. All you got to do is you got to be uh, okay enough to say, okay, I'll courier this. Okay, that's all that it'll take, and you just have to basically interact with one person. We decide on the price. Within 24 hours of receiving the clubs, the money's into your account. Clean. You don't have to worry about OLXs. You don't have to worry about people showing up to your place or not to pick up the product. It's done and dusted, right? And
Super
if
stuff.
nothing
Super
happens,
stuff.
you can catch hold of my gala, or you can also, I don't know, sue Golf Garage.
And you're accountable right there.
Yeah,
So
I'm accountable
fantastic.
for
Taking
this.
accountability is the biggest thing that you could have done. And you might have affected a lot of people and said some things over here, and your brand must have made sense for the TaylorMade head to come out and say this just now on Instagram on the show. And he says, I think, Rahul is doing a good job by selling pre-owned clubs. I will always support him to sell branded clubs at a good price. So there you go. Atit Gaur for you from TaylorMade India is already giving an offer, Rahul, that you're doing such a
Thank you.
fantastic job. I think he can
Lovely.
help you out a lot because they do a lot of buybacks as well and stuff like that. So in fact, he can
Right.
help you out a lot with that. And of course,
Right.
he was the guy I was talking about. Later this week I have Atit also on the show, and Atit has given back so much to golf. It's not only the
Right.
top of the line equipment that he represents, but the kind of heart he has is very unparalleled in the industry. He has never said no. Let me tell you that way. I used to run a junior tournament towards, various tournaments. And he used to just load on the prizes. He said, Romit, just take it. How many caps do you want? 100, 200, 300 was never a problem. So
Right.
here's a guy who represented the top brands of, TaylorMade is a big brand. And today he represents Under Armour. He has links, he has multiple. And we'll come to that when we discuss things with him. But to come out and say this also on screen right now to you, I think is again the heart that he has.
Yeah. Thank
It's
you.
a
Thank you
heart.
so much. In fact, I have been in talks with a couple of companies We are trying to run some buyback programs with them. We have done so with Sixon in the past. We have been in talks with Mizuno for doing so. We have spoken to Callaway as well for it. I have been in talk with one of the people from Atit's office, and we are in touch for some of the other stocks that they have. And the thing is that things are moving. They aren't moving as quickly as one would like to. Uh, I don't know why there is a bit of an apprehension around in the market as of now. But what we are essentially trying to do is we're trying to run buyback programs, okay, with pretty much every company in the country. And I would like to shout out to each one of them that whenever you're doing demo shows, I'm happy to come along with you all as a buyback partner. We will take the customer's old product and you can deduct it from your price. We will give you the check for it from our company account straight up, right? And we are all done and sorted. Everyone's happy. The customer is happy that he was able to palm off his old stuff and he does not have to lug it back in his car and he can just take the new set and go back, right? It's like the exchange mailer for cars. And we are trying to run these programs. We have done one so successfully so far in Calcutta. We also had a good run of doing this in, one of the golf carnivals that happened at Harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we were one of the stalls over there. There were about six other stalls with all the golf brands. And whoever went to them looking for a cheap equipment or whoever went to them and said, okay, I want to buy this driver, but I have this old one. And they would send that person to me instantly. And I felt that that
Right.
model was great because the person who wants to buy old or wants to sell off an old needs a person like a golf garage, and a person who wants to buy a new, who likes to buy the new latest product and the tech and all that, can go to the new product, right? As this actually sorts out both the problems in the industry. You don't have to sit with your products anymore. Just call us up and we'll take it away from you. And we've
Superstar.
got some really old stuff, by the way. We've got like tailor-made burner three woods and all that, right? We
Wow.
don't we
Wow.
don't care. We'll even take that.
Right.
Yeah, we'll even take those as long as the product is usable. That's the end game,
Wow. Fantastic.
right?
So Atit is just supported. He said we'll support your buyback program. He's already jumped onto it. There you go,
Awesome,
Rahul. You got Atit in your bag right there. So TaylorMade has
lovely,
come up and said he'll
lovely.
discuss it after the lockdown. And he also thanks me for doing a good job by connecting people. And I think this is a great thing. These are all things that we can give back to society. And what Rahul is doing and what Atit just now had made a connect on this program. And I think it's brilliant that you guys took this off from here. This is how industry is going to prosper in this country. I think just
Awesome,
meeting
great.
each other and getting you guys just to meet each other is the biggest thing. And that was done definitely on my agenda. But here you go. Kubji. Kubji, is it? Is your name Kubji?
Is this Ashmi?
No, this is Karandeep Kochar. Missing you on tour. You're doing great work with Golf Garage. So says
Right.
Karandeep Kochar, top touring pro. There
Yeah.
you go.
I miss playing pro golf with these guys. It was a lot of fun. And in fact, I messaged Gurpaz a couple of days ago. I do miss being out on tour. It used to be a lot of fun. It's it's just a lot of banter, a lot of friendships, and so yeah, I do miss all of that from time to time. That was good fun.
Right. Another prospective client out there, Ashish Kapoor, he just started golf. He's very interested in big brands. He loves the brands, but he also kind of agrees with me. He's a student of mine. He agrees with me that, sometimes it's a little bit too expensive for suddenly someone, a beginner, to just go and buy something very expensive as well. So he's asking, do you ever get recent year models as well? So something that you can answer.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We do. They are not very regular as such as of today's market because also the pricing is so high that nobody wants to get rid of it that early, right? So we do get them, but from time to time. So as of now, we have some products lined up on the website. Maybe once the lockdown ends, we'll get into buying a lot more products. So we will keep updating the website and just keep a check on it. We get new and old everything. Everything is pretty much available out there. So we do try to keep it up as much as possible. We are into a lot of buying these days, by the way, a lot of buying.
Yeah, Ashish, just by the way, through the program, your ping answers waiting. So
Yeah.
Ashish
So
really loved this putter. Another player was upgrading from, and I had it in my hand. And Ashish says, "Can I take a look at it?" And he started hitting it. He said, "Can I use it for a little while on the putting green?" And he used it for a while, and he loved it so much. He actually sent me a message that, "Can I come and get it from your house And I didn't answer that question because I didn't want him to come out.
So one of the other things that we do actually, which is like a value added service within Golf Garage, is that if someone is confused, a lot of beginners are confused as to what they should pick up. you know in that case, we just you can call us up and we will ask you a few questions, and according to your budget and your needs, we do try and give you the best solution possible for that, right? So that is another, it's like a value added service. I might not be able to answer the call at some point of time, but surely by the end of the day I will call you back, and we will sort of figure out if we have something within our stock at the time which will suit your needs. And more often than not, we are somehow able to suggest properly to people, even though we don't have launch monitors and all that. But we're talking about beginners here mostly, people who are confused about what kind of a stiff or a regular should they buy. We're not really matching things up with a swing speed, but like a more or less kind of this thing. So I try to use my playing ability vis-a-vis the selling ability to sort of match the two, and find a way for people to actually get the correct equipment possible for themselves.
Right. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. And
Thank you.
we're going to get cut off maybe very quickly, but just
Yeah.
before that, let's appeal to everybody to help out whoever they can. Rahul, I know you're doing a great job of helping a lot of caddies out at Noida. And I would appeal through the program also to people to reach out to Golf Garage. And because he is doing, if you look at the Instagram page, Rahul, you can put something up at what you're doing. So they can actually go into that.
Actually, let me just take a minute over here. We actually, per se, don't take the donations, but there are other people who are doing a really good job of taking the donations and sending the food to people. So please reach out to them. I think one of the groups is called Real Heroes of BPGC. That's one of them. Also, Chimmy's Foundation, the Ultimate Golf Foundation, is doing something good right now. So that there is Feed My Noida, Feed My Bangalore, all of this going on. So if you all can, even if you can contribute a couple of bucks to them, it helps someone's family, right? At the end of the day,
Super.
Every little will count.
Super. And you can reach out to me or Rahul for any one of these because I'm in touch with them personally. So I can get you in touch with the caddies directly for people so you can take care of them as long as you can and whenever you want, So it's fantastic having you on the show, Rahul. And
Awesome.
thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boss. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.